That's what your constitution defines is representation. And
Constitutions are for 14th Amendment citizens because governments cannot govern men and women.
Yeah,
so they have to govern corporations.
And the only way that you can...
That's why they address us as Mr.
So what is the legal process for removing your citizenship to the US?
You could become a US national.
Yeah, that's an option. But what's the process? You have to go through a process.
The process is a long process, and you have to be informed about laws, about contract laws, and a whole bunch of things. So it isn't something that is given to you. It's something that you have to earn with study.
Yeah.
So if you want a paragraph of it...
Are you one of the Moors?
What do you know about the Moors?
I'm asking you, are you
what
one of the
do you
Moors?
know about the Moors? What you feel so confident asking about that?
They think that the U.S. is Morocco for those reasons.
They think when they have history
I like
on
reasons.
They think when they have history on it.
Oh, I mean raisins.
Do you think the U.S. government was here the entire time?
Answer my question, then I'll answer yours.
Who do you think was here before the U.S. government?
Answer my question, and then I'll
who
answer
do you
yours.
think was
I
here?
asked you first.
There was already a government here. There was
I will
already
mute until you answer my question.
Bro, you don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Your answer is unresponsive to my question.
Guys, I'm just doing a test stream of this at the moment in 1080p, if anybody gives a shit.
You're streaming this in 1080? Oh, this deserves 1080, dude.
Yeah, I know, right?
So
channel, I can do it in 4K as well if I want. Get that.
Oh, yeah. This definitely deserves 4K, dude. 4K with a cherry on top, even.
So we know that there are people that came to the Americas before Columbus, obviously, because we found them.
There was people that was here before Columbus, not came. There was people that there was already a civilization here.
I can't believe we're talking about.
There were actually many.
That's awesome. That's awesome that we don't know history.
Yeah, I agree.
That's awesome though that we're so ignorant that we just believe one side of history. That is so awesome. That makes you guys very honest.
So they had iPads and shopping malls.
We failed another one of his tests, guys.
There were a number of civilizations in North America,
and the Moors just happened to be one of them. Can we continue?
No, Moors, where?
The Moors are
the Moors are Berbers from North Africa. They weren't in the United States.
Yeah, they sailed between Africa and Asia, dude. What's wrong with you?
Cool, man. You guys don't understand what you guys are talking about, so...
So when you say Moor, are you talking about Moors as I would use it in a historical term, which is looking at the Umayyad Caliphate and the Moorish risings there?
The original copper-colored people.
Well, they're not Moors.
There was this crazy person...
They're Asiatics.
Right, and there's this crazy person
that has this entire set of history that I don't know about, so that must make him crazy. That makes total sense, bro.
Yeah, but there was this guy that he called himself Noble Drew Ali, and he managed to trick a bunch of gullible people into thinking
another guy, another truther that he just managed to be a con artist, and he was full of shit. Because
wow, it's like Earth's motto with the moon out, not when the sun is out, but yet millions of flat earthers think the moon being out in the daytime is some sort of flat Earth phenomenon.
This has been fun, guys.
I've got to ask one question before you go, Matrix.
Amazing.
Are you aware now?
I think he's gone.
He left.
Oh, bollocks. I was going to say, what would be cool to ask him next time he's on is get him to define what Dunning-Kruger classification is.
He's just going to say that's what you have.
No, but wait a minute. But how do we determine who is correct from this standpoint? Because you can't get away from that. We have to be able to test it.
He's going to say that's what you have, and it's just a matter of your opinion.
Yeah, let's test it.
Well, I kind of tried that already by asking him what his axioms are. Yeah, we didn't really get much out of him.
Yeah, no.
He just got mad at you for using the word axiom too many times.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I've done it Kruger myself because I forgot how hard it is to understand the person who doesn't know what an axiom is. I knew too much about axioms. I didn't realize he didn't know anything. So.
Dude, how many names did he call us, dude?
Zombie,
I don't even listen to
mindless, liars, brainiacs.
Did he insult at all? I didn't hear any insults.
He called me crazy.
Oh, right, yeah, he did that, yeah.
He said we were dishonest. He said we would believe anything. We were zombies.
The guy honestly didn't know any process on how any of the processes or methods we used to measure the distance to the sun, but he takes issue with them, even though he doesn't know what they are.
Yeah, that was awesome. I didn't actually have that bit recording, but that was actually, I should have done.
Well,
would have been funny to record that.
It's why I like the tolerance question, because I'm going to use that a fuck's sake more, because when you're actually talking about sort of the changes of refraction, I've been thinking about it more and more and actually looking into refraction a bit more, and it doesn't make any sense. How can I lose 500 meters of a mountain under the curve through fucking refraction?
I don't know how you did it, but it doesn't make sense. Therefore,
because the maximum is arc minutes, not even fucking degrees.
No, but did you hear it today with Chris Berry saying, did my model have atmosphere? And they're like, well, that's a ridiculous question. It's a 3D graphics model. No, it represents reality. But then he says, well, I rest my case. Because the word atmosphere, obviously, you can imply refraction. And obviously, that just fixes everything and makes the world flat. But the problem that you've got is when you push this fact and say, great, which way does the light bend? And who is this favoring if I don't have it? How simple is that?
If they don't understand that light bends, or that light is going to bend most commonly due to refraction in a way that's going to help them at all.
Yeah, I know.
The thing that I don't understand about it is they say that things due to perspective disappear bottom first. Well, what happens if you flip your camera upside down?
Or tilt your head to the side.
Yeah, no, it destroys the arc.
Yeah. No, I've done that before because this was a brilliant example. I think it was crazy dude. I forgot his name now, but it was
Scotty Storm.
No, but it is someone like him. Talks really fast, really.
Travis.
No, I can't remember. But anyway, I was saying, is there like
that red pill guy?
No, we'll prove things disappear from the bottom first. And I said, great, why? Let's go through it. And I started sketching a thing out and sharing my iPad. And he says, well, yeah, it's because of the acute angle that you've got here. Brilliant, we've got an angle now. What's this angle relating to? Because we need a start point and a degrees. And he goes, well, it's wherever you're looking. Brilliant. So what happens if I look down? Do I see it now?
Is he the one that said the bottom of your eye sees different than the top of your eye?
No, that's often one of them did, but that's that bird, that summit bird.
Lemon bird.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
And, they all blur together at some point.
Yeah, no, and honestly, next time I speak to Lemon Bird, I want to have mocked up some 3D glasses, so that I can show them what glasses they need to actually wear to fix that shit, because there's some serious stigmatism going on in their eyes if that's what's happening.
What gets me is when the flat earthers are like, oh yeah, you'll be able to see left to right curvature from the ground. It's like, you realize that the amount of curvature that you would have to see would mean that your full range of vision, your 114 degree full range, if you could actually make that out, you would actually be seeing from center to right or center to left, 0.0431 degrees.
Yeah, no, Brian, there's another interesting thing here, because I kept getting asked that, and I couldn't figure out, I didn't know the answer. But yes, we might have a wide field of view, but that's only for very basic color and mostly motion.
Your actual field of view for fine focus is between 30 to 41 degrees, depending on the person.
Yeah, now in that range, the human being can discern geometrically about 3 degrees of curvature given a line. And based on that, you have to be at 22 kilometers to see that kind of curve.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's really simple. But you got these people on the ground saying, "Oh, show me curvature." It's like, I don't. But the other thing that I hate is elevation drop. We don't measure curvature in elevation drop. It's not 8 inches per mile squared. It's 1 degree every 69 miles.
Yep.
It's like, how are you not getting this?
Have you noticed that that's exactly the distance you need to travel north for Polaris to raise by a degree as well?
Yeah, interesting.
Oh, that's weird, isn't it? It's like it's all planned.
But
you mean like how on the same size sphere?
No, I'm willing to work with a flat earther to give me a model or tell me how to, I'll create a few models for them just so that they've got something to look at. I'll even do them animations and plot it out for them. But no one's willing to sort of like say, describe their reality.
I can throw one at you.
I was trying to tell you about Infinite Plane.
No, yeah, well, I'm not doing that, Q, honestly.
Dean, no, I can draw one.
So don't say that nobody ever.
No, I want a proper flat earther, not a
This
pretend
is the proper.
No.
This is proper. There are people who believe that's reality.
Yes, but then I just want to model the Earth pond, if that's the case, then, not the rest
Okay,
of it.
we could just model the Earth pond, but
Right,
you know,
so get me.
just
I did have a look for this math. What's his name? Math whatever.
Powerland.
Powerland. I looked for some of these images and I couldn't find any when you just told me that as well, and I couldn't find any. So if anybody can,
I'm just going to ask Channel Q a very quick question. Did Chris actually send you the formula, the equation?
No, there is no equation.
What a surprise!
Of course not.
He actually said live on the air, "I'm sending it to you now."
Yeah, and oh no, what he did is he linked in the side chat the equation for looming. And I told him that was the equation for looming. There's no atmosphere on my dining room table, so I just need the equation for obstruction over flat surfaces.
Right. So
Dean,
here's go ahead.
Dean, I can give you an example.
Send you this picture, Dean. Oh, we're friends on Discord, aren't we?
I don't know. I think so. I don't use Discord. Are you on Skype, Q?
No, I don't use Skype. See, that's...
Because
I use Skype just because Dean is annoying and doesn't use any other fucking social media. So
yeah, I won't do that for people. Yeah. Everybody's on Discord, dude. Get on the Discord.
Hey, I'm on Discord. I just don't go on there
There
a
you
lot.
are. Here, I'll give you this. This is one picture I was able to find by Googling it.
Okay, I shall sign into this Discord bollocks and have a look.
It's not a very good picture, though. It's the one.
What Discord channel are you on, Channel Q?
What's that?
What Discord server are you on?
Well, I'm not on any server. I just have a Discord account.
Yeah, they're just unique IDs, just like Skype, but then you have community-based servers, James.
Discord's a pain in the ass. I still can't figure it out.
Holy shit, what the piss is this?
Yeah, this is Infinite Plane, dude. It's totally different. Here we go. I found that better picture. So I'm going to send you this next picture. 1 second. That's
Wait a minute,
official.
we can exit our pond then. We can sail out of our pond.
Here it is. Look. Yeah, they're gonna be gates. Here's another one I'm sending you. This one's a little less detailed.
The penguins with machine guns. What are we gonna do?
No, this is a myth. The myth of the penguins with machine guns. That's a myth. That's just a deterrent. It's not real.
It is real. I saw that Futurama episode, so I know it's true.
Sorry, wait a minute, Cliff. Did you want to ask me something a second ago?
Oh well. Hold on, I'm chewing. I apologize.
There you go.
Done.
That's the best representation I can find on Google.
Yeah, I didn't expect to be asked a question. So I was at the eye doctor with my son here several months back, and I had just heard this thing about the moon and cold light. So I just mentioned it to the doctor that people think that the moon actually has cold light. And after she finished laughing and caught her breath, she's explained something I already pretty much knew, but the rods and cones in your eye, the reason you see things is because they're receiving energy. And energy is necessarily not cold. It's energy. It's hot, to some degree. It can't be negative hot. So the moon, if the moon were somehow negatively heating the earth, you wouldn't be able to see it. But it wasn't even the fact that she said that, because I already pretty much knew. It was just the temper that she had. It was the most preposterous thing that you could tell an eye doctor.
I did not think of that. I'm going to bring that up sometime.
Yeah, good thought, that.
Yeah, Dean, I could give you an example of a flat Earth snap. What you do is, how light goes basically in a straight line and the Earth is a ball, right?
Wait a minute, did you see the one that I had up on screen?
Yeah, the flat one with the two sun and the moon.
Yeah, that was the only one that I found that didn't distort continent sizes, which we can pretty much agree via land surveys are the way things are. Obviously, it distorts, distances between continents. The one that the one that Channel Q's just sent me with an alien pond, which is a bit interesting. Yeah, that distorts continents heavily.
Oh yeah, that's a different thing. Yeah, but how to get a isometric mapping from
I just have to do a very quick terrible joke before I leave. Dean, you're just projecting.
That is a terrible joke. You're right.
That was. Yeah, I got my kids, so I'm on dad joke mode.
Yeah, it is Father's Day on Sunday, so dad jokes are required.
I forgot about that.
Oh shit!
I need to get Dad a gift.
But on the bright side, my dad's dead.
There you go, Dean. You can make your infinite plane model now. Okay.
Well, I'm not putting an alien pond next to the Earth pond, Q. I am really sorry.
Hi. What's your problem?
Sanity is my problem, I guess. If that's the.
We're talking about flat Earth. Why are you concerned about sanity?
I must admit, I did like the way maybe ran away when I started talking about, what do we have 100% certainty on. He couldn't change the topic quick enough at that point. Because it is a stupid thing. Because I can just argue, solipsism, and you're not.
What if you model it? What if you model it, Dean, and I buy it from you so that I can use it as a graphic?
Well, you won't have to buy it from me, Q. My white privilege allows me to give things away for free. But sorry.
I thought it was because we actually had a social democracy in Europe and therefore don't need to capitalize everything.
Yeah, we'll go with that as well.
Just don't bring your statutes and codes into this.
You can put your little tags all over it, say like "Made by Dean StingRay." Don't you forget.
Actually, for Channel Q, you like this. If you're female and pregnant, which normally goes together, in the UK, then you don't have to pay for any medication. Not even a prescription charge. Everything's free.
Well, I heard that in France, if you're pregnant, they send you a nanny.
And same in the Netherlands. You get basically a home carer that will come and assist you. Normally in the first sort of 3 to 9 weeks after birth.
Yeah, Q. So, do you think America is the greatest country in the world?
No, I definitely would never say that about it. I think America is full of itself, honestly. But my question is, are there homeless people living in the same place as the Queen, like in whatever country?
London.
Yes.
So I feel like, how can she prove to me that she's a better person than those homeless people? And then therefore, why is it okay for her to be flexing wearing that crown?
Wait a minute. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Druss doesn't support the British monarchy.
I don't get the point of it anymore.
Yeah,
you'd be wrong. I support the British monarchy just so I can take the piss out of the French for killing theirs.
Okay, so yeah, that's not a good reason. But yeah, so we are in a constitutional monarchy, which I do not agree with. I think that is an archaic thing.
I've never understood monarchy to begin with.
Would it be like insane now? Because this is just ideas I have with they're mixed in with a lot of things I don't really know. Okay, but would it be insane for me to think that the Queen should relinquish the wealth to the people and resign her position?
Well, to be honest, Q.
What the fuck is she? Is she better than everybody else?
No.
Is there something she can do?
So it's not her fault. She was brought up to believe that she is ordained by God. She's religious, but she's also done a lot for women's
flat Earth
rights.
Is crazy.
Wait a minute, she's also done a lot for women's rights. A hell of a lot.
A lot of people do a lot for women's rights. I mean, Grace Boggs did a lot for women's rights. I mean, people do things for women's rights and they're not queens.
And actually, I think she's also...
and they don't show up to sign papers with like $50 million crowns on their head.
My girlfriend's
Well, the crown's not hers.
Wait a minute, are you ready? My girlfriend's father goes to lunch with her as well, so I have to say stuff. Because he used to be in the Queen's Guard.
I just think that it's the wrong thing to have some people who are... There's nothing special about her. And it's just like when there are children growing up in a world and they have nothing, and then there's her and the gap between, and I just don't know if it sends the right message.
I agree.
To me, as an American, it's like they're the most expensive welfare recipients in the world.
No, actually, they're actually a pretty good wealth creator.
Yeah, no. So that's the
That's
problem.
a bad argument.
I don't agree with the British monarchy, but I know that if they relinquished all their wealth, it would make not a blind bit of difference to this country because they are not as big a drain compared to what they bring in, which is a sad fact of, I don't know, thick ass tourists that do rate monarchies, I guess.
Yeah, and just FYI, if you don't want to piss people off in London, stick to the fucking left-hand side of the stairs when you're coming out of the tube, please.
Yes.
That's the equivalent of New
Canadians
York.
will have a really hard time with that.
Yeah, so on the left side of the world, you have to stay on the right. On the right side of the world, you have to stay on the left.
No, we drive on the proper side of the road because we fucking invented the system.
Well, if you're in Italy, you just drive wherever the hell you want. Apparently, I've been there.
That's like in Boston.
Actually, pretty like Boston, to be fair, except you've got no roundabouts, which makes it even more tricky, which makes it a lot less tricky.
No, but you've got those wonderful 6 lanes on both sides of a road. People just cut across 6 lanes of traffic to turn left. That's great.
Wait a minute, Just, do you feel?
Here we go.
Just, do you feel entitled though when someone says, pronounces a word, and we kind of say no, that's not how you pronounce it. And then they say, no, this is how we pronounce it. And they're like, oh, well, one of us invented the fucking language. The clue's in the name.
Yeah, so you have to be a little bit careful because anything that the Americans put a Z in is technically more correct than us. So realize, for instance.
Right.
Or realization. That's actually the archaic spelling, not the modern spelling. So we actually changed it. Yeah. So what the Americans did is they obviously went for the phonetic spelling kind of thing, and that is why we will always win at Scrabble.
Yeah, but wait a minute. So what about route, or whatever it is, route?
Well, again, that can actually be said 2 ways because you have a route which is spelt the same way as routes. Yeah. So if I'm going to actually dig something into something, that's routing it. But if I'm going in a direction, that's routing it. But Americans only use the route, not the route. That's why you have a router, not a router in IT.
That's not true because when we're talking about roads, we say route. Like we'll say route.
Yeah, we
66.
typically do. Yeah, route. Like Route 66.
We won't say Route 66.
Yeah.
We'll say Route.
In that case, then your use of the term router for something that manages network traffic is then totally nonsensical.
Well, what's up with you people when you're superfluous letters? Like, why does color have to have a U in it?
Sorry?
Why does color
your extra letters? Like, you're wasting letters. You're not being judicious with your letters.
Like, no.
Putting extra letters in where they don't belong.
To continually win against you at Scrabble. I told
no,
you
that's just your way of having ownership of things that don't need to be owned.
No,
like
wait a minute,
Cliff.
In my defense, every bit of software that I have tells me
putting
color
you
doesn't
in
have
our...
a U.
Yeah, color. What else? Honor. Favor.
True.
Like you just y'all are wasting U's all over the place. You're gonna run out.
Or we're gonna score better at you at Scrabble.
Scrabble is the key here.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all can have Scrabble. We can have world domination.
Actually, the break between
it takes us less time to write our notes about who we're gonna bomb.
The break between UK English and Bostonian English.
It's actually a good one, Jeff. I gotta remember that.
I think Brian's trying to get a word in. Let him go. Come on, Brian. Boston English, UK English.
The break in UK English from Bostonian English is actually why Arkansas is pronounced strangely compared to Kansas.
Good point. Because it should be Arkansas, shouldn't it? Yeah.
It actually should be Kansas, not Arkansas. It should be Kansas, not Kansas. Because it's named. But there was a mispronunciation. There was a mispronunciation that came along with the spelling in translation from French into English. And the R is actually because when you pronounce it in a Bostonian accent, comes off R, and it gives a hard sound to it. So Arkansas is mispronounced on the front because of Bostonian English, and mispronounced on the back because people don't give a fuck about Native Americans.
Okay, but let me ask you a question.
I've got a good one, and I actually don't know the answer to this, even having been in the military. Why is Colonel pronounced that way? And there's no R in the word at all.
It's hiding. The R is hiding.
It's like a silent R.
It's
Well, no, it's actually a silent L, but an unsilent R, but it's not there.
like it's a
so
presumed
weird to
R.
me.
It's like when they say lieutenant comes out lieutenant quite often. It's like,
yeah, what is up with you people and your lieutenants?
Well, we invented the term, so we get the fucking right to say it how we want.
Because I was
like and
actually
share.
I was
I'd like to
actually
get
a
into
lieutenant,
few things.
and I served
Try
for
to
a
find
period
it
of
real
time
quick,
with the
make sure
English,
I had
and
it
they kept
all
calling me
ready.
lieutenant, and I'm like,
We get
what the fuck are you
fucking right
talking
to say
about?
it how we want.
Because I was
like and
actually, but
share.
here's
So
another
I
good
was-
one. So in the Army, Marine Corps, etc., a lieutenant is junior to a major.
Yep.
But a lieutenant general is senior to a major general.
Yep.
It's like they flip that shit backwards,
Wow.
and nobody can explain it to me. I've asked several people.
I don't know why, and I like history quite a lot, but not really modern military history. But yeah.
Well, find out and get back to me, please.
I will speak to some friends in a place called Duxford.
I think though, Colonel, because you know how like Chinese people like they pronounce hello like hero, like you know like they pronounce L's as R's, so maybe that explains why.
Yeah, well, they don't have
Colonel is pronounced Colonel.
Yeah,
I don't know. Could be.
Apparently they don't have. There's no L sound in Chinese, from what I understand.
No.
Also, fun fact: Colonel Sanders never served in the military.
He was a Kentucky colonel. And every American war movie loves to have just one colonel who happens to be from Kentucky with the worst fucking accent on the damn planet.
So, actually, I just have to get this out because this is kind of cool. So, I was speaking with someone in my hometown, who was admiring my motorbike, which I always appreciate. And he's telling me about a find that he's got that he found about 10 years ago, which he's just got round to getting restored, which is a 1941 U.S. Air Force Harley-Davidson knucklehead.
Where the hell did he find that?
Oh, shit. That's worth a ton of money.
In boxes. Now, because he's the guy that looks after the distributions of Harley in the south of the UK wants to buy us off him. And it's currently it's a restoration project. And the reason we were chatting, he was saying, "Oh, do you think it should be UASF grey or should it be dull, the mottled green for the army? Because depending on which year it is." And I said, "Think 41, it's grey, but go and speak to the Imperial War Museum in Duxford, and they'll give you the answer." Really, really.
Did you say it's a shovel head or a pan head?
Shovel head, I think.
That's nice.
Yeah, and I said, I thought, I said, I have no idea what it's worth, but I can't see a bike that age and that rare, because I know it is a rare bike, going for less than sort of 30, 35K.
I would say restored, it would go more than that, probably.
Yeah. But I'd say, go and get, someone who's actually has expertise on pricing these kind of antiques, because trust me, if someone could lowball you on that, you don't want to. And the guy was in his 70s, so I was kind of keen to make sure he gets it. But one of the things he's promised is when he puts it back together, I get to go for a ride.
Oh, that'd be sweet. That's a good find. It's one of those things that you just stumble upon, and it's just like finding a pot of gold.
Well, as long as I don't break my shin bone trying to start it, it should be fun.
And actually, you got to be careful restoring some things. Sometimes restoring things actually can lower the value of it.
Yeah, no, he's not getting any parts replaced. The only thing that he's sorting out is the paintwork, but he's trying to get the original paint to do the paintwork, and that's what he's having problems finding. So
I bought a pistol at a gun show here a few years ago, and I went to it was a 32 caliber. It was sort of like a shrunk down 1911, but it was 32 caliber. And I went to shoot it, and every time I would shoot it, it would double feed. And normally a double feed is because of the magazine. So I was using 3 different magazines, all of them would double feed.
Yeah, it's normally the feed lips, isn't it?
Well, what I did was my dad's friend is a gunsmith, so I sent it over to him, and he calls me and he's like, "Have you looked closely at this pistol?" And I'm like, "No, I just know it's an old ass French. It was an old French pistol." And he said, well, if you look at it close, you'll see 3 different spots where there's swastika stamped on it. Turns out that during World War II, after Germany took over France, they appropriated all the gun manufacturers, and they started churning out these pistols in .32 caliber, and they stamped them with swastikas. And he said, I'm not going to fix this pistol for you, because if I do, it'll take away the value. He's like, as it sits right now, it's worth about $1,000, and I spent $100 for it at a gun show. So sometimes fixing it can screw up the value.
Do you know the channel Forgotten Weapons?
Yes, I've been on.
You know that guy is crazy about unusual French weaponry.
Well, maybe I ought to get in contact with him. He might want to give me a nice offer on this thing.
Yeah, well, he would do an episode just on that gun because it's an unusual gun. I'll tell you that now.
Yeah.
Ian, he's always looking for stuff. I've had a couple of email conversations with him.
Oh wow! Shoot me his email if you can.
Yeah, well, I'll go and dig it out.
Yeah, it's funny because you almost have to look with the magnifying glass to see these stamps. You can see them with the naked eye, but you've got to be looking for them. And I just never did. I just thought, $100 pistol, I'll buy it at the gun show.
Guys, really quickly, Sean G is streaming for some reason, and he's opened his Hangout if anybody wants to jump over there, because I highly recommend Sean G.
What's his current lineup?
I don't know. I've not joined, and he's not streaming his...
Dad? He wants to talk science denying.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. Push that a little bit harder. That way it stays shut. There you go.
Yeah, let's talk denying science. I actually don't. I don't mind denying science, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get a flat earther like convert on the spot or anything, or like point out a flaw and you're like, oh, I was wrong. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. I've had it happen.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I had Sean on Sean's channel probably about a week ago. Aussie guy. Oh, God, what's his name? Bandsaw, he goes by. He was my favourite flat earther to talk to. But in the last week, he turned into a globe earther. So I hate him for killing my favourite flat earther.
I haven't run
that's
across...
why you should pick the flat earthers that are part of the PSYOP, because they'll never let it go.
Yeah, but then they won't be my favourite, I don't think.
Now, I've taken people out of young Earth creationism before, but I haven't taken anyone out of flat Earth yet.
Oh, I'm probably going to hang up this call and go listen to Sean, and then I'm going to be going live.
What are you discussing, Q, later on?
I'm not sure. You know, I had some ideas, but usually I'm going to have that, I hang out and then just like see what happens. But I'm not going to let Dodo Bird in. And I don't know if Riley shows up, if I'm going to let him in either, because he's had a lot of time on my channel too.
An interesting thing about Riley is last time I spoke to him on Jose's, I asserted that the sun doesn't change angular size, and he says, well, I've got a friend who can prove that it does, and it's Dave Marsh, I think his name is. I've got all his evidence, and Riley's asked me, so now are you willing to concede? And I went 100% not, and I can prove it. I'll have a call with you anytime, I'll do it live, and I'll show you exactly that this bastard does not change size. And
it really doesn't.
Yeah, I'd love... Well, actually, Cliff, a very interesting thing. He sent me... So it's a fixed focal length that he's got. He's got focus lock on it and a solar filter. And he does it at various different times of the day. And the lowest is near the horizon. And the compression which you get, the vertical compression, is actually quite... more than I would have assumed it would be. But obviously the lateral... the width of it stays the same, give or take a few pixels, and those pixels are probably in line with the interpolation of the sensor or the actual shift in image across the sensor. So there's nothing there that says it's changing angular size, and I want to speak to Riley about it, but
Riley also said that you can see stars through a solar filter, so he's not a very good
link into the chat, and I'm going to jump over to Sean's.
Yeah, I'll shoot over there too. Hey, Channel Q, how does one get a link when you go live?
Well, I'll just do it like I always do it. So just pop up in the chat, and then I'll just be adding people. So, once I start.
Yep.
Nice
Friday's
to see Channel Q,
my
by the way,
online
because
day.
I do like feisty people, and you're bloody feisty, and that's always good.
Oh, yeah, I'm a pretty happy person, and don't like these people are sometimes
don't
just
piss
like
her off.
crazy. Well, I mean, even if you do piss me off, sometimes people like that too. So whatever.
I just love how you go so much more New York when you get annoyed. It's really cool.
Right. I'm pretty sure she's hit people with frying pans before.
No way, I've never.
I've spent a fair amount of time in the meatpacking district, so
I've spent a lot of time using my words, not my fists, and that's why I can speak the way I do.
Oh no,
Practice makes perfect.
Chris Berry's in Sean's is the only one at the moment.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, we got.
All right, I'll see you guys later.
All
right,
bye.
Thanks, folks. Have a good one.
See you later.
All right. StingRay, let's see, was it you that was saying that you got I said that you're going to talk to Anthony?
So he passed me on to this Dave, and I'm in a Skype conversation with him, and I said, great, I don't want you researchers, I don't want anything. I can evaluate it. I've been a digital artist for 17 years. Now I'm a computer programmer. I know 3D graphics, Photoshop. Give me your source images, and I will look at them and give you the truth. And they did. And I looked at them, and he said, have I made my mind up? And I went, yes, it doesn't change size at all. Thank you. And I'm willing to go over it with them next time on Jose's, on his own channel on a Hangout, or just on a Skype call. I don't care about publicity or anything. I will show them how I determine that it's different, because what they were doing is that this Dave Mash was taking two images and then using a 2D vector tool to draw a circle around the bitmap. And then getting a readout for the diameter of the circle, and then noticing a percentage difference between the two. What I do is I overlay them both on two different layers and change one to be difference, which highlights everything that's different, of which there is nothing. So it's like, yes, you've got an error tolerance when you start dragging a circle around, but not when you overlay one over the other. So it's just a process that they got wrong.
Yeah. Okay. And for the compression, is it one of those things to where it's doing a non-uniform compression from the bottom up as it gets closer?
Well, no, it's not bottom up, is it? It's just vertical compression. So it's uniform in Y, but not uniform in XY. So it maintains width, but the compression or the arc compression on either top or bottom is uniform. Which I would expect, to be honest. I'd expect, and obviously it's going to be a progressive effect the closer it gets to the horizon, because of the denser, not only the denser atmosphere, because that's actually not really why it is, but it's the path angle through the atmosphere and the density layers due to refraction. So yeah.
I was just wondering that because it was one of those things where it was only compressing at the bottom and none of the other three parts. You could actually cut it and reflect it over itself and show the compression to mess with them.
Yeah. But to be honest, I'm not interested in messing with them, or I'm not interested in anything. I said I want to be known as someone that will look at evidence and evaluate it honestly, which I can do. And I've had someone pass me a NASA image before of a moon landing, saying, "Oh, look at these shadows." And I think I did it live on one of Jose's shows, actually, and I recreated the scene live and showed them it, saying, look, these are parallel shadows. It's the camera perspective and field of view which is causing this, and it's completely, utterly explainable. But then someone did pass me an image, or they linked me, sorry, to a NASA.gov archive image of the lunar surface and the sun in the background. And there is a strange grain difference and cutout grain difference between the Earth part of this image and the lunar surface, which I determined was possibly an old form of film development compositing, whereby they cut something out and moved it. But the next one of my questions then after the fact was, yes, I can tell this is not a real image taken as one, but show me somewhere where NASA said it was, because this could have been for a fucking postcard for all I know.
Yeah, true enough. All right, are you popping over to Shang-Chi as well?
No, I'm gonna grab something to eat now, but I might be on later if it's still streaming, or I'll be on Channel Q's.
All right,